Assalamu alaikum and welcome to The Why Teacher. In Classroom Stories today, I want to narrate a wonderful experience with the Year 3 children. Every story that I have shared till date has been special for a certain reason, and with each story, I grew as a teacher. So, this one is also very special to me because I wasn't actually the Year 3 teacher. I was sent into that classroom as a substitute teacher. So, this story's focus, of course, is centered around the power of storytelling and how teachers can engage storytelling to create positive impact inside the classroom. Now, in this case, the plan for the day was reading, and I started reading with them. And off and on, I would ask them questions, and as children are, they would raise their hands enthusiastically to answer questions. But as in every classroom, there are always those children who never raise their hands, avoid eye contact, do not want to answer any questions. And I think as teachers, it's important that we at least explore why that is. And in this case, I observed one boy who wasn't answering. So before I could even point out at him, the class blurted out certain insensitive comments about the child. Some of them saying that, Miss, don't ask him, he's never going to answer. One of them said that, Miss, his answers are always wrong. Some of them said that, he gets a failing grade in English, he can barely read. And I thought that, I found that really hurtful. Especially looking at the boy, I could sense that he had been taking this in probably for some time. And the insensitivity that I sensed in the classroom environment was something that really made me think. And as I always say, if you're a teacher and you can sense something terrible in the learning environment, then there is no point in continuing your teaching. You have to stop and you have to fix it before you can start teaching again. And that's exactly what I did. So I stopped reading at that point of time, not to make them aware of they had passed on these insensitive comments and now I had stopped the reading. I just created this environment where I said, okay, let's all make a story, and they got all excited. And of course, in my head, a plan was racing through because this was again an on-the-spot kind of a situation. Let's fix it kind of a plan. And I created a character for them, and I said, okay, let's imagine this setting as this classroom. And I'm going to create a character, and then you have to lead the story. So I created the character, and I said, this character is always late to school, always wears the wrong uniform, never brushes his teeth. His homework is never done. He never brings any lunch to school. Who would you want this child to sit with in the classroom? And all of them, being 8-9-year-olds, started to make this huge noise about, oh, I'm not going to sit with this child. His mouth is going to smell. It's important to brush your teeth. It's unhealthy not to. Some of them said doing the homework is so important. Every reason that they gave for not sitting with the child was an assurance of them knowing what is the right thing to do. So in a lot of ways, they all were quite smart and understood why we do certain things or activities in our life. And I started to plot all of these points onto the board. And I said, all right, now let's say that, your reader wants to understand the character. So can you think of any reasons why he might not be doing it? Why isn't he brushing his teeth? Why is he coming late to school? Why doesn't he bring any lunch to school? And it was amazing to see that, they all first of all struggled a little to understand, like, why wouldn't anybody do that? And then slowly and gradually they started coming up with those reasons. Some of them said maybe there is nobody to help him at home, and I started to jot down these points on the board. Some of them said maybe the parent is sick, or maybe he doesn't have a mother, maybe he's an orphan. All kinds of scenarios came up, and I listed them all down. So I said to them then, so whose fault is it? Do you think it's really that person's fault? And they all agreed that, of course, no, the situation was such that he couldn't help it. He's just 8-year-old. I mean, 8-year-old needs somebody to cook breakfast for them. He cannot do that on his own. So all the justifications for all the reasons that they gave were given. And then finally I asked them, I said, so can you imagine a character who's struggling at home, also gets to school, and his classmates do not understand the situation. Nobody asks him even as to why something is wrong. So it was amazing to see that even though the children knew that it was a fictitious story that we were creating, there were tears in some of these children's eyes. And I found it amazing because I felt that, you know, feeling or empathy or compassion isn't a mountain to climb with a child. It's only, a question away. If you ask a critical question, if you ask them the right questions, children are going to become sensitive towards their environment. They're going to understand the value. They're going to implement the moral that you're trying to teach them. And so I said that, so it is very, very important to look behind the obvious, to try to find, reasons for why something is a certain way. So the next time you see something that you don't like or is wrong, then always try to find out why that is so, because why is the most important question in life. So a wonderful lesson was learned through this substitution class. And whenever I reflect back, what I understood as a teacher was that, morals can't be forced on children. And unless and until, the children are involved in the process of understanding the moral, if they are experiencing the value, it's only then that it holds any meaning to them. And so story writing, story creation, storytelling are really powerful tools if you want to put across a moral to a child or help them understand, important values.